So when you're advising or helping or coaching your clients in your relationships, what's the one metric that you have them focus on?
I mean, I really want people to find joy. That's my metric. That joy can come from looking at their successful organization. That joy can come from within and where they are personally and professionally. I truly believe that, the more joy you have in your life, the better the life's gonna go. So are you passionate about it? Are your people passionate about it? How do we make them more passionate about it, right? How do we bring that out in your people in your organization? And that is my metric. I mean, so I'm a big believer that if you focus on the result, you're in the wrong place. You're always focusing on your process. And so your process is, how do you make yourself and your organization better, your people better? That's your process. If you do that, your results are going to take care of themselves. Whether you're on the, on
So that is the end desired result.
The best process that you can have is your goal, right? And then the results, whatever your measurement is, they'll be there always. So if your process as a parent, if your process as a spouse, if your process as a boss, how you communicate, how you approach it every day, if you're honing that and it is as good as you believe it can be, if your process is as good as you believe it can be on that day, your results will take care of themselves. Step one is being able to identify what's holding you back, whatever level you're at, right? You can be an elite athlete, you can be a Fortune 500 executive. All those folks, just like, all the rest of us, have things holding us back. You got to be able to articulate those and identify those before you can do anything about it. You got to be willing to own them. You got to be willing to name them.
Well, I read an article about John Wooden when he was coaching his legendary UCLA basketball team that had won championship after championship. And what I read, which was interesting, was that his players would often say that he would never talk about winning or losing, that he would just talk about making sure that each person would occupy a space on the court without saying where they had to go, but they just needed to move. How does that winning formula transfer to some of the work that you've been doing?
I mean, that is what you just articulated from Coach Wooden is as good a definition of trying to coach people to flow as you can get, right? He's trying to coach flow. Now, you definitely could coach someone toward, the fundamentals of flow, but the person's got to let go and flow in the moment. And that's what Coach Wooden is saying, is if you're looking up at the scoreboard or thinking about it, right? So in my case, it might be an actual scoreboard, if it's an athlete or a team, or it might be life scoreboard, which is a bank account, a promotion, whatever it is that the outside world is telling you is winning, right? If you're looking up at that, then you're not finding the best space on the floor. To come back to Coach Wooden, right? If you're gonna find the best space on the floor, you gotta be on the floor in that moment, in that game. Not glancing up, to see
what's happening on the scoreboard.
That's right.
Okay.
Or to see how the fans are reacting.
Okay.
Right, that's a whole other layer that holds even the greatest of the great athletes back. What are they saying about me, right? What are they saying? What's the feedback?
The greatest athletes have said that they don't recognize the difference between the beginning of the game or the end of the game. So at the end of the game, they're able to perform at a higher level because everyone else is paying attention to the end.
To the result.
To the result.
Right, it's the process. We make it sound easy sitting here talking about it.
Sure.
Right, it is not easy. Right, it is not easy. It is really hard work. Because what we're talking about and what Coach Wooden was talking about is defining success within your own space, right? Within your own space. Your success within your own space.
Talk to me, if you were hired to come in and you had to speak to either one of the teams that are playing for the Super Bowl this coming Sunday, what would you say to them in the locker room?
First thing I would tell them is, before you go out on the field, just sit and take a minute to acknowledge that a couple of billion people are going to be watching you on TV. And basically the world's going to stop. You know, a lot of the world will stop Super Bowl Sunday. And they're all watching you and hanging on the results. Own that before you leave the locker room. When you go out onto the field, don't think about any of it, right? Own it in the locker room, right? And it's going to suck to lose, right? And it's going to sting for a long time. I would say to them, own all that, right? And when you go out on the field, process, not results. You've worked your whole life to get there. It's cliche, but process, not results. Don't get caught up in the fanfare in the moment. But if you don't do the work beforehand, you will. I mean, just as I don't care how many times you've been out on the field, if you don't do the work before, you'll get caught up in it. Yeah, you still may during the game, and you may need a reset, right? And take that reset, right? So, you know, I have a son who's a good punter and kicker, and he's playing down at IMG now, and I tell him all the time, be in the game, right? And if you see the game going in a way that you're going to have a kick, particularly a big kick coming up, you guys are down 2 points and there's 40 seconds left and you're across the 50-yard line. I mean, that's the time to look around and acknowledge that people are watching you and this is hanging on you, or it might, right? Acknowledge all that, right? Because you don't want to have that conversation with yourself when you're taking your 3 steps back and you're 2 over to kick the ball, right? Because one way or the other, it's going to cross your mind. So make it intentional. So I think for the players in the Super Bowl, just be intentional about where you are. And I understand oversimplification, but the heart's racing, the mind's going, you just want to get on the field. Slow down. They're not going to start the game without you.
And that's what you would tell the coaches too, in addition to the players?
I think so.
Okay.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? Don't coach differently. But you can't just say don't coach differently. It's look where you are. It is different. It is different.
It is different.
Everything about it's different. It's all going to feel different.
The schedule, routine, everything has changed.
It's all going to feel different. And don't fight it, right? Don't muscle through it. Right? I say don't muscle through it.
Acknowledge it.
Yeah, sure. Right? Acknowledge what is. I said at the beginning, right? Ignorance is not bliss. Just acknowledge it. So, in the locker room, once you own and acknowledge the size of the stage and all the things that'll be different, take a deep breath and go out and have the time of your life.
Have fun.
And take time to grab a few frozen memories, look around, realize what it's about, and let it go as slow as it can.
Okay.
Because it may not happen again.
That's right. Words to live by. It may not happen again.
May not happen again.